To always get the latest Game Tea, do not forget to follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook at The Game Tea Podcast, and you can find us on Twitter at Game Tea Podcast X. We post memes, gaming news, retweet friends of the pod, and of course let you know when new episodes are available for your listening pleasure. Links are all available in the description of this episode, so check them out after the show, and thank you so much for listening to the Game Tea Podcast.
And welcome to another episode of the Game Tea Podcast. My name is JP.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Czar.
So as I said in the last episode, boys, from the week of, I don't know what the hell it was, like September 12th through the 19th or whatever that week was, we were spoiled. We were spoiled because we got a Nintendo Direct and we got a PlayStation State of Play. So we got a lot of awesome gaming news.
Still looking for Xbox. Where you at, Xbox?
Where is Xbox?
They're doing their own thing with this week on Xbox.
They did E3, didn't they?
I don't know.
E3?
Did they? Were they there?
They were E3. E3 didn't happen this year.
But
Summer
Game Fest, my bad.
Summer Game Fest. Okay. So here's the thing. We started talking a little bit last episode about basically how we've been in this quarrel about what was better, the PlayStation State of Play versus the Nintendo Direct, right? Now, the quality of each individual showcase, you could certainly argue, right? But it is of my opinion that State of Play blew the Direct out of the water. And you two disagree with me. So here's how this episode's going to go. We're going to go through the low hype, medium hype, and mega hype of the things that were announced in the State of Play, right? We're going to talk about it just as it is. And then at the end, we're going to talk about the merit of which was the better showcase.
Yep, we are going to duke it out, throw fists and bites and kicks, and we are going to settle this once and for all.
I didn't agree to any of the last 5 things you said.
Well, you don't have to. You just got to take it.
It's got a point.
All right. So let's get right into it. The PlayStation State of Play, now I've said it a million times, they have a challenge with catering expectations because unlike Nintendo Direct, where it's got like the partner showcase, the mini Direct, the indie, whatever, right? Nindies. State of Play does not have that. State of Play is just, here's a State of Play, and whether it's a huge showcase that's going to show you some really awesome fucking stuff, or a 2-minute showcase where we introduce like 3 indie games, we're going to let that be a surprise, right? And I feel like the issue with that is they're not always able to cater expectations properly. So, we got a State of Play, but I feel like there was a lot of really cool stuff that was introduced within this State of Play. But of course, there's a few duds in every showcase. So let's start out with things that were low hype in the newest State of Play. First of all, PlayStation Stars.
Yeah, I knew that was the first thing you were going to mention.
Oh my fucking god. It's really funny, actually, because I was reading an article that was like, here's PlayStation Stars, which is totally not NFTs.
It's just
like,
masked as
come on here. If you go even to Kotaku, like, they're not even really fucking sure what to make of PlayStation Stars. All they say is it's a sneak peek. They put quotations around sneak peek because it's like, who the fuck cares? At Sony's totally not NFT rewards program. So, I guess the idea behind PlayStation Stars is like, aside from trophies, there's rewards you can obtain in games to give you these little virtual statues or whatever of things from either the PlayStation World or one of these games or so forth, whatever. It reminds me a lot of the trophy system in Smash Bros.
Yeah.
But not nearly as fun.
Yeah, like you don't have the...
You get to play Smash Bros.
You don't get to play Smash Bros. You don't get to put the coin in the little vending machine and turn the wheel and get a nice little toy statue.
Right.
What is this adding? Like, what is this actually adding to the PlayStation?
Asking.
You know, I agree with him. I want to know, too.
Me and the rest of the world is asking this question. Yeah, what... why?
The only possible defense... Yeah, money! The only possible defense I could possibly give this possibly shitty, low-hype thing I was going somewhere with that and I lost it. I have no defense.
It's just shitty.
I guess
Our expectations are already so low, it can't get much worse.
that's why this is in low hype. You remember the
Right. No, right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that's your defense.
Yeah, that's my defense. It's like, I guess if you're hardcore PlayStation, and you're getting 100% trophies on every fucking game you play, it's a little something extra.
I guess. I
said, I don't have a defense. It's low hype. I feel like, does PlayStation or Nintendo, or sorry, not PlayStation and Nintendo, does Nintendo and Xbox have anything like this? Because that was the other thing is like, well, is Xbox doing something like this? Because
no, Xbox isn't really doing anything like this that I know about.
It's just
when you get an achievement, you get like game art as the achievement, and you can display that game art as your background for your like home screen.
Right, but that's
about the extent.
It doesn't add, man. God, I rolled my eyes so hard. Now, luckily, this is the only point where I truly glossed over in the entire event, right? But it was a hard gloss.
Yeah, well, it just felt really weird how they set it up, because like they had the director of marketing or something for PlayStation come out and be like, we're really excited to announce this. It's PlayStation Stars.
And I'm like, what the fuck is that? Yeah, it was so bad, man. This sucks.
Yeah.
I don't care about it at all.
That was definitely like an afterthought for PlayStation. Didn't need to be there. Moving on.
So next up, low hype. Now, I debated about whether this belongs in low to medium hype, but I've heard a lot of negative things about this. So, Stellar Blade. Now, originally, this went under Project Eve, right? Mm-hmm. We kind of did a little bit over what this game looks like, but not to say it looks bad, but a lot of people have called it a Bayonetta clone, which kinda. It's another, like, really in-depth, like, really focused on the graphic style gameplay of, like, swift fighting and jumping around and beating up, like, these mechs and these other creatures. It's not even that it looks bad. I just don't think it was necessarily a highlight in this show. And in fact, it had a lot of mystery shrouded around it when it was still quote-unquote Project Eve. And I don't know. I think a lot of people, including myself, felt like once this game was actually revealed, just not a lot of content there to get super pumped about. That being said, there's no doubt it's fucking gorgeous.
It does look pretty.
I will say, here's the positives. I think the fighting looks extremely fluid. I think it looks like, with the right crowd, the action-based stuff is really good. I love it when a game has something incredible that you do, so it slows down time for a brief minute so you can savor the fucking awesome thing that you just did, right?
Yeah, no, that fluidity was definitely there. My takeaway from this was it looked rather repetitive.
Okay, that's fair.
You saw maybe 3 or 4 different variants of monsters, but like 14 different settings that the main character was in and fought these monsters, so I imagine the enemies are going to be repetitive. The combat might be a little repetitive because the moves, although looked really cool and fluid, were very repetitive. And I'm just worried it's going to fall into the classic button mashing combo syndrome of it just gets stale and boring after half the game.
I will also say it was really hard to make odds or like heads or tails of the story. Like, it was hard to, because, like, a game like this, as grand as it is, if it's going to have that gameplay that can kind of come off as pretty but repetitive, I'm looking at you, Kingdom Hearts, you need to have a great story to back it up. And honestly, from the trailer, I couldn't really tell whether or not it's going to have a really substantial, awesome story.
It was flashy for sure, but is there any substance behind that flash?
Exactly. And I think that really is the saving grace of Stellar Blade, is that you can't deny it's beautiful.
That's true.
You can't deny how good it fucking looks.
Valid.
Now this is PS5.
Now this is pod racing. I'm just kidding, sorry. I can't resist.
Hello there.
But again, I mean, switching from Project Eve to Stellar Blade, it just didn't come off as anything spectacular.
That was my medium hype game from this one. I was
arguing about putting that in medium hype, but just, it's my list, damn it. There's only one last thing I put in low hype, and this hurt a little bit to do, was Demio. Now, if you remember, there was 2 PS VR2 games that were advertised in this Direct. We'll talk about the other one here in a little while. The first one was Demio. Now, what exactly is Demio? If you're wondering that, that's exactly what the hell I was wondering when I first saw this too. The way that Kotaku explains it, another PSVR 2 port announced during today's short show was Demio, which aims to recreate the experience of a 4-player tabletop RPG, but with more flair and excitement. It's quite popular on PC and coming to PSVR 2 next year. It looks like it has the potential to be really, really fucking cool. Do you remember in the OG Yu-Gi-Oh! The Dungeon Dice Monsters episode?
Yes.
You remember those?
No, I had the original setup. Like, I had a starter deck for Dungeon Monsters or Dungeon Dice Monsters.
That's exactly the vibes that I got from this. It's supposed to be a virtual reality tabletop RPG where you get the pieces and the dice and, you get to run this campaign, but you get to do it in virtual reality. It's super fucking cool sounding. I really like the sound of that. So why did I put it in low hype if that's the case? I think it's for, name recognition, because apparently Demio has been out for quite some time, and it's got a really dedicated fan base. Well, why is this the first time I'm hearing about this fucking outstanding game? If it were really, all that it's cracked up to be, is my question. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's I could see how you're wondering that.
Because from my description, you're like, oh my god, this sounds fucking incredible.
Yeah, it does sound really cool.
And it's in virtual reality.
Weird that this game already exists and people are enjoying it and we're just finding out about it.
So I think what's going to happen is PSVR 2 is really going to bring this game to the mainstream in a way that's incredibly exciting for us at gamers. I think this is going to be a hit, which again made it hard to put in low hype. But again, I'm looking at this from what's the name recognition standpoint here.
There's a lot of avenues they could explore with this. It definitely looks cool.
Zach, any takes?
I would articulate what you said. I think this would be a medium hype game as well for me.
Damn, that's interesting. So we're about to leave low hype to go into medium hype. So far you've disagreed with me about Demio and also Stellar Blade. You think those are medium hype?
Yeah.
Okay.
They look cool. If their reviews are alright, I'll probably get them when they're on sale.
Fair enough. So without further ado, if there are no more questions, it's time to move into medium hype.
They're saying it's time to duel.
It's time to do that later. Don't worry.
Alright, good.
Well,
Can we get sponsored by Pib? Because holy shit, that's good.
I don't know how you would go about getting sponsored by Pib, but I'm pretty sure they'll sponsor us if we ask nicely.
Dude, I'll tell you, it's really good until you get home and you hawk up a loogie and it's just a straight brown down the middle.
Ew,
The
why
fucking
would you
syrup
say that?
is so goddamn thick.
Give me
How much
some
of this shit do you drink?
Well,
Even I drink a lot. I've never done that in my life.
I'm here 8 hours a day.
You don't have to drink it, you know?
But I have
I
to
do.
survive.
That's what the water's for, next to you.
Thank God all I've eaten is ice chips and all I've had to drink is Mr. Pib.
But the water doesn't have the magical molecules that make my brain go brrr.
That's sugar, you dumbass.
You're such a fucking Xbox gamer.
Brrr.
All right. So as for medium hype, we're talking about medium hype now. Now, it's funny because I've seen you two disagree with me on this. Tekken 8, the very first thing that they showed in the showcase. I think, okay, sure, it was just a cinematic trailer of Tekken 8. Tekken is one of the most popular fighting games that has ever fucking existed. And to show how amazing Tekken 8 is going to be, they used none other than, what's his name, Ryuza or something?
Well, they had the guy in Smash. What? Oh. What is his name? They didn't?
No, they did. It was Jin.
Jin, fine.
Kazuma.
Kazuya. Jin Kazuya.
There it is.
And he was fighting none other than Jin Kazuya.
Devil mode, Jin Kazuya.
Devil.
Now, it was a cinematic, but first of all of the fighting games, the fighting peeps who aren't already in love with Smash Bros., they agree that either Tekken or Street Fighter are going to be the next best fighting experiences you're going to get. So there was quite a bit of hype that I saw surrounding Tekken 8. They've been waiting for another Tekken for a while. I'm going to admit it, I'm not one of those people. So despite the fact that I've seen so many people just hoot and holler over Tekken 8. I gotta put this in medium hype for me.
Honestly, this is weird for me to say. I was almost going to put this in high hype because
Really?
they opened the state of play with this badass fight cinematic.
It was so cool.
It was so cool to see. And I mean, clearly it was just a cinematic because there was no health bars, there was no timer, there was no indication of a game going on.
Actually, that's where it got interesting, though, because if you watch the trailer, it was really weird how it, like, went from cinematic to transitioning into, like, that side-by-side where it kind of looked like gameplay.
Yeah, it was really hard to distinguish which was which, but it definitely looked gorgeous. I'm just a little confused because I feel like Tekken is one of those showcase launch titles, like Forza and Horizon. Like, when you get a new console, you get a new iteration of Street Fighter, Tekken, and racing games.
Yep.
But here, we're a couple years into the PlayStation 5's lifestyle, and this is the first Tekken game we're seeing made for this new console.
Yeah, I mean, I see the point that you're making. I don't think it's coming at, like, a bad time by any means. I think it's, like, at a little overdue, to be honest.
And that's exactly the point I'm trying to make here, is it just feels like we should have gotten this game last year or 2 years ago.
And I think what a lot of people will argue about that I partially agree on is that PlayStation's launch lineup was pretty mid.
Yeah, you didn't see the normal launch titles that you're used to.
You had Ratchet & Clank, sure, which, by the way, was fucking outstanding. I loved that game. But other than that, there just wasn't a ton of substance. It was mostly like, PlayStation 5 enhanced games. Like, I replayed Miles Morales. A few other games like that. And then there were a few exclusives, like, do you remember Destruction All-Stars?
Yeah.
A lot of fun, actually. But just never took off.
Yeah.
And I don't really know why. I don't think it's fair.
I think it's because they said it was $60 and it wasn't worth $60.
It was a free game for PS5 owners.
I don't honestly remember this game.
That's the point. So, yeah, Tekken 8, I totally agree with you. It's long overdue. I'm glad that it's coming, though. The trailer was hype. I'm hyped. But I'm not going to get it.
I got more hype, because I read the blog, and apparently that is like a story mode cutscene all rendered on a PS5.
Oh, wow.
And so it also, I didn't notice it because it did such a good job. It wasn't, I guess technically it's all CGI at this point, but...
I mean...
That's what games are.
And apparently that was actually like a real fight going on at some point during that trailer. And so...
Yeah.
I'm not going to get too hyped, but that did up my hype level a little bit. To know that if that's like actually the bar, those fights, how they'll look, that's fucking epic.
Absolutely. I just want to emphasize as a final point, god damn did this game look good. The sweat on the characters, like the dew that dropped off of them from the water moving and the clothes flowing in the wind with their motions. It was all beautiful. The best looking game I've seen in a long time.
I've always said the next peripheral for PlayStation consoles is going to be like a water ejector on top of TVs.
Just a mister.
Yeah, mist of spray for like sweat of fighting games, or if you're playing FIFA.
And they add a little bit of a stench to it just to make it more real.
You're like, I feel like I'm there.
My PlayStation smells like butt.
It's like, I literally avoid the real event to play it at home, so I avoid this. Fuck this peripheral. It's like, you can't play FIFA without the mist sprayer. It's like, why?
Oh. My whole house smells like butt now.
My butt.
Oh, God. Okay, anyway. All right, so next we got a little bit of love for the PSVR 2 once more with Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. Now, this actually is a port that came, I believe it was introduced to the Quest in 2020, but it got some stellar reviews. A lot of people said that they absolutely loved Tales from the Galaxy Edge. Just another piece of great Star Wars gaming content that's coming to the PlayStation VR 2 now. But it is a port, ultimately. So, medium hype because, yay, more Star Wars. I love Star Wars. It's going to be a great addition to the PSVR 2. But on the other hand, it is a port.
Yeah.
So, that's where I'm at. Now, it's funny, Czar, because you disagreed with me on this. You thought this was definite low hype, right?
Yeah, what more is it going to add? Who are you even playing? Like, when they announced the title of this, I was kind of even wondering if it was made by Gearbox as, like, one of the Tales series.
Yes.
Because you never hear a game called Tales from unless it's made by Gearbox. But obviously this game is not. This game is its own adventure, not story-driven narrative. But, like, what is the point? And is this game out? Like, this game is a port?
It's just a port. So right now you can... let me make sure I get this right. I think you can right now find it on the Oculus Quest because it was released in 2020. It's going to be greatly enhanced, quote-unquote, for the PSVR 2 coming out in 2023. It's basically where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it looks cool, but it's ultimately kind of the same thing we've seen before.
I mean, it's a port.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. It's really difficult to say because I'm very hit and miss with Star Wars.
That's true. Are you a big Star Wars guy?
I love Star Wars, but I hate when Star Wars explores the avenues that it knows so well. Like, when this is breaking off on a little bit of a tangent, but like when Disney Plus started exploring the Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, that shit is fire. That is what I crave. But if you take me to the Mos Espa spaceport on Tatooine for the 17th time, I am not gonna give a shit. I have seen the reveal of the Millennium Falcon sitting in this spaceport way too many times. It's happened like 4 decades ago.
We're in a galaxy far, far away, goddammit. I see the stars. Why are we only on 8 planets?
Yeah, for being in a galaxy far, far away, this is a pretty small fucking galaxy. Tatooine seems to be everywhere.
And you know what? That's exactly why I actually love Jedi Fallen Order, because that's what they do. New story, new characters, all part of Star Wars, right?
But
fucking
my
awesome.
lore.
But my lore.
Oh, but like, how much in between filler for the movies can you add?
It's
like,
not filler. Come on. Clone Wars was better than some of the
Abso-fucking-lutely. And this has irked me time and time again. Like, I see C-3PO and R2-D2, I tune the fuck out because we already know this story. We already know what's going on.
That's fair.
I'll get off.
Off the tangent. The point is, Tales from the Galaxy Edge come to PSVR 2. Trying to bulk up that library a little bit because right now I am worried about PSVR 2's library. So hopefully with this and Demio, they're going to just keep on adding.
I will say that Star Wars does look like a good addition to the library if you want some substance in your VR library.
True. Absolutely. Okay, now, I am extremely hyped for this game, but I also recognize I'm in a little bit of an outlier here. Pacific Drive.
Yeah, I don't understand why you're excited about this.
Maybe I just didn't get it.
Because it's indie, because it's horror, because it looks fucking awesome. I loved the art style. You're in some kind of old-fashioned 70s station wagon, and you're just kind of like driving through hell, like things just kind of... Here's how Kotaku explains it. The debut game from Ironwood Studios appears to mix first-person exploration of a dystopian-like world with some wild-looking car action. Expect to deal with slime, too. This one's out in 2023. Just from the video alone, it looks like it's a really fun, awesome indie game. And indie horror is some of my favorite fucking horror games ever. Oxenfree, which was another indie horror game, I think was better than so many different kinds of horror games that are made by AAA developers, right? And this is a debut game from Ironwood Studios. I think they're going to knock it out of the park. I'm extremely excited, but again, I recognize I'm an outlier.
Well, and you don't see a lot of driving horror games. Like,
that's why I think I'm so excited, is because of how different it is.
That's an avenue that has not been thought of before, is a horror game from the perspective of you behind the wheel of a car.
Like think of modernized horror games, right? Think of Outlast 2, right? Where it's the same thing. Scary guy coming. Hide. Wait for scary guy to go away. Unhide. Go to next spot. That surmises so many different horror games now. And it's fucking indie horror that's taking it to the next level. Like Oxenfree, right? In Oxenfree, you have to use an old ham radio and tune it in the game. That's the mechanic, tuning this radio to communicate with dead people.
Oh, yeah.
It's a fucking interesting, fun mechanic with a good story. And that's why games like that, or Pacific Drive, I'm so excited for. They're revolutionizing horror. They're the ones coming up with these super creative, fun new ideas.
When you say it like that, I think I have a little bit more of a vested interest in this game from the perspective of a driving horror game. However, I still just can't get behind how boring this game looks. Because you're just like, this game is the embodiment of hop in the station wagon, put it in reverse, Terry.
Put it in reverse, Terry.
That's a YouTube video we should post to our Twitter. Put it in reverse, Terry.
Oh, Lord, Terry.
Oh, Lord, Terry, put it in reverse.
So, again, I recognize that it's just me. I'm really excited for this, but not everybody is.
Maybe if there's, like, some explorative aspects to the game and, like, there is a dual function of gameplay when you're not in the car and the game is not
It looks like there
entirely
is.
centered.
You're not just always in the station wagon. It showed gameplay of you outside.
Yeah.
Was that your fear that you were just in the station wagon the whole time?
Well, it looked very incomplete as a trailer when you weren't inside of the car. So I just kind of had this feeling that the majority of the visuals would take place from behind the wheel.
That's fair. I mean, I might have to rewatch the trailer. I didn't get that exact same vibe. Again, for the millionth time, I know nobody else is excited about this, but I am.
You're excited, and that's all that counts.
Yeah, JP, we want you to be happy, man.
At least somebody does. Anyway, all right. What do you think, Zach? You picking up Pacific Drive?
No.
I didn't think so. On to the next.
Driving away from that one.
Okay, so it's really funny because in the Nintendo Direct, we were just saying somebody needs to make the next great mech game. And then in the state of play, what we saw was a brand new mech game with Sin Duality. It's interesting because it's not giving you that exact Titanfall feel, right? Where like you're not behind the glass piloting the Titan that way. It's third person over the shoulder view from what it looks like. Kind of more like your think Daemon X Machina. And I think what's interesting here is it almost mixes like that mech gameplay with a lot of like modernized like anime fighting stuff, right? Like it looks like it's got super fluid gameplay that looks almost a lot like, once again, Bayonetta, and kind of what Stellar Blade was trying to really go for too. But just from the perspective of you're in this mech, you're exploring this planet, you're fighting these incredible looking beasts, right? You get to customize the mech, change the weapons, change the way it moves. We were talking about we want more mech games. This is a good-looking mech game.
This is another outlet for mech games, and it does look pretty.
It didn't really look like a mech game where you're like battling stuff. It looked more like a farming sim to me. Or not really a farming sim, but a collecting sim? I don't know.
Collecting,
What was
you
that?
say?
What's that voice?
That's the voice where I'm just kind of being annoying.
It's working.
Good. That's the point.
And you know what? I'll give that to Zach. It's like, take the action out. Again, we don't know a ton about the story, but I think it looks like a lot more engaging of a story than what Stellar Blade had to offer. Although, you know what? In general, mech games, except for Titanfall 2, aren't really known for their stories. In fact, Titanfall 2 is known for an incredible story.
Yeah.
Go play Titanfall 2.
I actually did. I played Titanfall 2 a few months ago, and it was soul-crushing, man.
Soul-crushing. What?
So, in my opinion, Sin Duality, it kind of mixes Daemon X Machina with No Man's Sky. If that makes sense. That sounds like a strange mixture, but it's like you get the mech, you get the fighting, you get the awesome stuff, but it's also about planet exploration, collecting materials, building new parts with your mech. I think it looks like a lot of fucking fun. I think it looks super cool. And to top it all off, again, it's really optimizing PS5 graphics here. It looks beautiful. It looks fluid. I'm really excited about this one.
Fluid. That is definitely something I noticed across this entire showcase is every game just looked jaw-droppingly gorgeous. Like, it was pretty. Mm-hmm. But are visuals enough to carry the showcase is where we're kind of going from here.
Yeah. To JP it is.
Well, keep in mind it is middle-of-the-road hype. And you know what? It's middle-of-the-road hype because of the point we made in the Nintendo Direct. What is the demand for mech games right now?
Well, and see, I was actually going to hit on this point, too. You guys keep saying we need more mech games. You guys like mech games. They're pretty. I kind of tune out when I see a mech game. I've never had an interest in them, and I feel like the finer points of game mechanics that I specifically enjoy, like exploration, crafting, and collection, I feel like if those are present in a mech game, it is very bulky and hindersome to try to attempt those feats.
You might actually want to give Sin Duality a try, though, because it looks like it's more in-depth than that. But, of course, like, it was just a 1.5-minute long trailer. So we didn't get a ton, but I think this has the potential to reinvigorate a lot of the love for mech games, and that's what I'm excited about.
And yeah, maybe I'm just wrong because as of this episode and the last episode we talked about, we're getting quite a few mech games, and maybe this is a resurgence, and maybe I'm just an idiot and I'll have a ton of fun with all of these games.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I haven't even considered the possibility that you might be dumb before.
But guys, have we considered the notion that I am an idiot?
What? You? No.
This changes everything.
It changes nothing. Okay, I've got one last game in medium hype, and I want to see who gets mad at me for this one. Rise of Ronin. Now, for a lot of people, this is a mega ultra happy fun time hype game. And the problem is, like, it does look like it's going to be amazing, but it's really funny how I literally thought they were about to announce Ghost of Tsushima 2. Right? Like, this looked like Ghost of Tsushima 2, and it's not. It's just another samurai game, and that's awesome, right? Because samurai games are fucking in right now. They have been exploding. People love them. People want more of them, right? That being said, I just can't imagine you get another game that tops Ghost of Tsushima without doing something new or innovative or different, like another game on this list does, which we'll get into here in a minute. But Rise of Ronin, other than like a few story elements of like these different empires fighting against one another, like here on Kotaku, it's saying Rise of Ronin is set in Japan and is described by Sony as a sprawling action RPG. So, I guess in that vein, it's a little bit different from Ghost of Tsushima, because Ghosts, well, that's not even true, because it did have some RPG elements.
A few, yeah.
It's just, like, let me make this blatantly clear. The combat in this game looks fucking incredible. It looks like it's fluid, it looks beautiful, it looks like it's a lot of fun. That's what we're talking about today. But again, my concern is the story going to be able to complement this game in the same way Ghost of Tsushima story complemented it? And that's my mindset, but that's an unpopular mindset. A lot of people have said Rise of Ronin looks incredible. What do you two think?
Well, I think there's a lot going against this game, first and foremost.
You do?
I think the fact that you compared this game and, like, brought up Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, Ghost of Sushi Fish. I'm worried that is going to be apparent in all gamers' minds. Like, all gamers are going to go into Rise of Ronin with that comparison mindset to Ghost of Sushi Fish. And it's just not going to hold up to that phenomenal of a game. Like, that was probably one of the best games for the PlayStation 5. Like, that was the highlight game. And to see a very similar playstyle game within the same lifetime of a console is almost like they're trying to get lightning to strike twice.
Yeah.
And very, very few times does that actually work out. I think they're just trying to hit an avenue that has already been, like, well hit.
It's just that, like, I know it's not the same studio making the game, but, like, at this point, just make Ghost of Tsushima 2.
Yeah, and like, yeah, it's not fair to keep these comparisons because it is a different studio. But
that's true. Different
Team
studio.
Ninja's pretty good.
Yeah, but being hyped on the same console when, like, Sushi Fish came out 2 years ago, a year and a half even?
A little more than that, dude. I mean, you could still play Ghost of Sushi Fish when the PS4 was still, like, the head runner for Sony.
But, like, that game is still in people's consoles.
It's one of my favorite games I've ever fucking played.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
What makes your game worth stopping playing Ghost of Tsushima if you haven't experienced that and you're already experiencing it?
I don't know if the goal should be to get you to stop playing Ghost of Tsushima, but rather see Ghost of Tsushima as, like, a game that has, like, things that it doesn't do as well as Rise of Ronin. And I will say, Rise of Ronin's combat looks fucking awesome.
It does look very good.
It looks super fucking fun.
That's what Team Ninja's known for, too, so I'm excited to see how they do that.
Absolutely. But again, just don't know.
Yeah, I just, as final advice, make this game stand out from Ghost of Tsushima. Make it so nobody even thinks about the other game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't let that comparison be there.
And I will also say that, like, it's very brief, but I did see like a little shot where the main protagonist is using a gun which is something Jin Sakai from Ghost of Tsushima did not do. So maybe the combat will be different, and we just haven't seen it yet. But from my point of view, not really. But still, looks amazing. Looks like it's going to be fun. That's why it's in medium hype. That's all I got for medium hype. Okay, mega hype. Now let's see if you two agree with me on this. We know that Hogwarts Legacy is coming out. We know that it's going to be fucking incredible. We know that people are really fucking excited to play this game. What we learned in State of Play is that there is going to be several exclusive missions that you can only get on the PS4 or PS5 that are centered more around like the horror aspects of the world of wizarding, right? Did you see that fucking scene where that wizard walked into the room and all the mannequins came to fucking life and started fighting? Are you telling me that was not fucking amazing?
That was really cool. Okay, I did really have my interest piqued during this trailer because of that ominous feeling of dread that they just pound into this trailer. Like, I remember reading and watching Harry Potter as a kid. It's fucking scary. Like, on the surface, Quidditch, yay, wizards, spells, and
on the
evil.
surface, you mean movies, right? The movies.
Well, not even on the surface of the movies, but the surface of the books and all Harry Potter content in general. It just looks whimsical and magical and fun, but then you realize, like, they got so much scary shit. The Dementors and...
The Dementors are terrifying.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It really looks like they are branching this game out beyond what Hogwarts is and beyond what we know of wizarding in this franchise.
Can I say one more thing? I think it is so fucking refreshing that Hogwarts Legacy puts a lot of emphasis that anyone from any of the four houses can be a hero. Because the books and the movies have conditioned us to think Slytherin, evil. Gryffindor, good. Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff, just filler.
Just filler.
But no, like, especially this trailer has really emphasized, like, no, you're going in this world to get, like, your own Harry Potter World of Wizarding experience. So no matter what house you get sorted into, you're still going to have that amazing experience. In fact, the person who's casting the spells in this trailer on the floating mannequins that are trying to fucking kill you is a Ravenclaw.
Yeah.
That's actually what I loved so much about the Fantastic Beasts series, too, is that Newt Scamander is a Hufflepuff. And it's just so fucking refreshing to see. Like, hey, it's not all about Slytherin and Gryffindor. Like, the other houses do shit, too.
Yeah, well, and this goes back to my comment earlier when we were talking about Star Wars VR. Like, we've seen all that shit before. Explore the new Book of Boba Fett and all this other stuff. Like, go outside of the school. Go into the towns and, like, really examine everyone's backstory, not just the most notable characters, because this world is incredibly interesting and, like, we haven't scratched the surface. We haven't been allowed to scratch the surface of this universe.
Yeah, exactly. So this trailer sent chills down my spine. I am so fucking excited I was already excited to play this fucking game, right? But now seeing that they're adding, like, true horror aspects to a universe that truly is fucking scary sometimes.
And I hate this, but
Amazing.
I love what PlayStation is doing. I think that's very cool, having a non-exclusive game, but having exclusive missions.
Yes.
Like, that is how you mass-produce games across different consoles and give them that individual console feel. For example, the last time I remember any game ever doing this was Soul Calibur. And depending on which console you got, you could play as Link, if you got it for Nintendo. You could play as Kazuya from Tekken. No, it was like the... I don't even remember
And
his
wasn't
name.
the other one Kratos?
Yeah, and no. It was like Spawn, I think. Spawn was if you got it for the Xbox.
Okay.
But yeah.
And Yoda and Darth Vader.
No, that was later Soul Caliburs, but yes.
I remember that, because Yoda was so OP.
Yeah, Yoda was.
Because nobody could fucking touch him.
Yeah, his hitbox was like a fraction of the size of everyone else's.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But no, I want to see more of this. Another example here would be Dead Space 3 when you do the co-op. There are certain exclusive missions that you cannot do in single player because you have to have a co-op player, and those areas are locked until another person joins.
Right.
Same concept here with PlayStation. That is how you diversify games. I love this. Keep making exclusive missions.
All right, up next. The other samurai game from the showcase, Like a Dragon Ishin. Now, this is technically a Yakuza spinoff, but I was absolutely... You want to talk about a game that has samurai that fucking mixes it up? Like, I already know that I was sleeping on the Yakuza series, but watching this Like a Dragon Ishin trailer, I was like, this is fucking incredible. In fact, Czar, what's the way you described it?
Oh, this is Japanese Red Dead Redemption.
Japanese Red Dead Redemption?
Like, it is just Red Dead Redemption that takes place in Japan, and that is it. Like,
it's fucking incredible.
Oh my god, from the sword swinging and like the sword play, and then all of a sudden the guy just pops out a Western revolver and caps a guy, like execution style.
And I think what's fucking awesome about it is, like, if you watch the combat, there's not one side of it that, like, seems like more fleshed out than the other. Like, if you're gonna be using a physical weapon like a sword, the combat looks fluid, it looks fun, it looks quick, but it also looks different. That's the important thing, is like, whereas we composed Rise of Ronin or whatever to Ghost of Tsushima, because the combat looks very similar, like, the combat in Like a Dragon looks very different, but still fun.
Yes.
And then just being able to whip out a fucking gun whenever you fucking want to, it's
amazing.
incredible.
And then they showed, like, little exploration of, like, riding a horse and, like, driving a carriage. And I just kept getting that same explorative feel from Red Dead Redemption. Like, this is just the Wild East.
The Wild East?
Nice. The Wild East.
And I know we can expect this because it is a Yakuza game, but boy, they are not afraid to get away from gore.
Oh, it was...
Oh my god.
Not for the faint of heart. There was decapitations, dismemberments.
Like, even Ghost of Tsushima was pretty light on the gore and the... Like, you could see blood, but not like this.
But it was more cinematic to, like, samurai movies.
Yes.
Where it was flashier.
Which was the point of the game.
But no, in Like a Dragon, it's just straight up blood fountains.
Oh my god, it's so fucking cool. I think this is a hit.
This was my most excited game.
Or was it?
I really hope this goes past the PlayStation onto other consoles, because this is a must-have for me.
You know, you could also buy a PlayStation eventually.
I could, but that just sounds like too many extra steps.
That's fair. That's fair.
I don't have enough outlets.
That just seems like being an alcoholic with extra steps.
Listen, man, I just need more plugins. My power strip is already full enough. The fire marshal came in.
That's when you add another strip.
You just attach a power strip to a power strip.
Yeah, because that's safe. I think this is so fucking hype, man. I'm really excited. I know it's just a spin-off of Yakuza, which is already really highly acclaimed, but this looks different. This looks awesome. I can't wait. Zach, what do you think of this?
Yes.
Yes.
I think everything you guys said, it's a Yakuza game, so I'm probably not going to play it because I just never have time for these games. But maybe I just need to take a dive and find something new that I love.
I mean, I think that despite the fact it is Yakuza, it's got the elements that you liked. Because you loved Ghost of Tsushima, too.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
And this one has a gun.
And you get a gun. Did you play Red Dead Redemption 2?
No. I bought it.
That's not my question. You bought every game. That's not my question.
I like to support good games, even though I guess those developers really didn't need the support.
Yeah, Rockstar really appreciates your support.
Yeah, okay. Well,
a small, humble studio.
All right, we got one more. Everybody knew this was coming. It's technically two more. I'm going to just hype it in as one. God of War.
Yep.
We already had the release date, but there's two things that this specific state of play introduced. Number one, that fucking controller. That I really, really want. Did you see that controller?
I did. The controller looked really cool. I was just really confused with the music number that they were playing while they were slowly gliding over this controller, because it sounded like the most epic of boss fights, and it's just a slow pan over a controller.
Yeah,
like,
they could have done a better job of that.
This is a little anticlimactic.
When they introduced the controller, they started off by showing a fight scene with Kratos and Atreus kind of going at some of the monsters in this new world that they're in. And by the way, I didn't even think this was possible, but so far the game looks even better on PS5 than it did PS4. It looks crazy.
It is crazy gorgeous.
So the PlayStation 4 controller, the PlayStation 5 controller itself is just so fucking cool. It's got like kind of not necessarily like Kratos blue and white mixed in with like, because they start off during Ragnarok, right? Ragnarok has started. And it's snow, it's blue, it's cold, it's depressing. So it's got that blue and white theme going on with the same buttons that we've kind of seen from the other controller. The difference is the middle PlayStation button is now white instead of black, which I think in itself looks cool. And on the touchpad, you can actually see the bear and the wolf from the original God of War game, right? Not the original God of War game, but the PS4 God of War.
The reboot with Atreus and started Kratos' new story.
With the wolf supposed to represent Atreus and the bear that represents Kratos. So I have not once considered buying another PlayStation 5 controller because I just don't need to, but this is it. This is my controller, dude. I'm fucking getting in on this, as long as the scalpers don't beat me to it.
Valid. I really like how it keeps the aesthetic of the PlayStation 5 overall. Like, it holds very true to the color scheme and feel of God of War, but then you also look up at your console itself, and it still keeps that aesthetic.
I 100% agree. So, the controller in itself was cool enough, but then, we got a 3-minute trailer of some of the things that we can expect to see in the new God of War game that's dropping 2 months from now. 2 months from now, dude. It's coming up really quickly, alright? Here's a couple of things. First of all, you gotta watch this trailer. We're posting it to Twitter because I think it introduced a lot of new information. First of all, I like how you can physically see and hear how Atreus has gotten older. Because, I mean, at this point, God of War came out April 20th of what? Like 2017? 2018?
Somewhere in that avenue, yeah.
So, I mean, like, they're going off of the, like, hey, this is about 4 years later. So, Atreus was super young. So he's a little older, his voice is a little deeper, he's a little taller, he's got some zits. I don't know if that's true. But this trailer also did a few other things that really surprised me. Number one, it showed a scene with Freya where she's kind of like talking to Atreus, and of course the reason why that's weird is because in the last game, Freya vowed to kill Kratos for killing her son, Baldur, even though it was totally his fucking fault. Fuck that guy. Number two, I think the new, it looks like Tyr, because they introduced Tyr as a kind of like this mysterious, like, basically the god of war in Norse mythology, right? And it looks like now, we kind of saw him in one of the previous trailers, but now it looks like we're actually going to get to meet Tyr pretty fucking early, right, in the game, because I thought that was going to be like a late game reveal, but they show a lot of gameplay with Tyr, so it looks like you're going to get to meet him pretty fucking early. Finally, Kratos still has the Blades of Chaos, the shield, and the Leviathan axe.
Spoilers.
It's in the trailer. We don't even have the game yet.
And you're spoiling it, you monsters.
Yeah, monster. Okay, and thank fucking God I saw some different monsters, because if I have one complaint about God of War, they did not put in a big variety of different things to fight. They just didn't. But there's a lot of different things that it looks like you actually get to fuck up in Ragnarok, and I'm really excited about that.
It's cool. Yeah.
I don't have much else I can say about Ragnarok, because Kratos is still just fucking kicking ass. It looks like they've added, because there are RPG elements to the game, and that you get to select some of Kratos' special abilities and his outfits, do different things and things like that. It looks like they've added a lot in regards to that, right? So this is just going to be so fucking amazing. It's just expanding on the God of War that we know. But the thing that really got me the most was when Atreus shot an arrow at, like, the blocked out sun.
Oh, yeah, that scene was really cool.
Oh, my God.
I like the sky rips across the screen, and oh, yeah, it was sick.
So cool.
The closest representation I can make a comparison to is shooting the eclipsed sun in Skyrim as a vampire. But like even that does not compare to how magical that scene was. You are right, that seeing that in game is going to be just incredible.
And of course, finally, it ends with you fighting Thor. after you fucked up his sons that he doesn't actually really care about that much.
Wait, Kratos is a Marvel character?
He should be.
He should be.
He's the Deadpooler of Marvel.
Even if you kill him, he'll come right back.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that's it. That was State of Play. It was short. It was sweet. But I thought it introduced a lot of really fucking cool things. PlayStation, I'm not going to lie, they've been asleep. They've been fucking sleeping this year. And we've all been able to excuse that because we know that God of War was on its way. But this State of Play really gave us a lot to look forward to. And I think it was amazing for that reason. There was just so much cool stuff in a 20-minute trailer. Or 20-minute event.
There was. That was something I noticed from this showcase was it felt packed. Like, this 22 minutes felt intense. There was substance. There was gameplay. There was story. You got to see all things PlayStation. Like I said in the previous episode with Nintendo showed what Nintendo needed to show to be Nintendo. PlayStation did the same thing. PlayStation showed everything PlayStation needed to show for the rest of this year.
In fact, the only low I really have for PlayStation was PlayStation Stars.
Yeah. Well, and I think that is very confused. I think a lot of people don't know anything about that.
Yes.
And I think that's what's making people mad. Maybe this is just one of those extra features that really warrants no complaints because it's nothing really extra. It's just kind of there.
Sure.
Like, it doesn't add, it doesn't take away from anything.
I agree with that. And it's hard to find something in any of these showcases that take away from the other things, I think, necessarily. Like, if you were excited about one thing, it's hard to find something else where it's like, I literally lost excitement for everything else. All right, so that is it. That's State of Play. Now, obviously, let's take a few minutes to try and ask the question, who had the better showcase?
Well, let's give it a grade first. Let's see if our grades match up. So,
okay.
Last episode, Zach gave the Nintendo Direct a solid C.
Yes.
I myself gave it a solid C, and JP, you gave the Nintendo Direct a C-.
Correct. Just slightly below. Kind of that... I'd still say that's mid.
Yeah, it's still in that area.
Like, the only time I'm extremely let down by a Nintendo Direct is when it's a partner showcase. Because I love indie games, so I love it when they do that. Nintendo Direct Minis still do a pretty good job of getting some decent news out there while also providing, like, variety. Yeah, it's only partner showcases that usually let me down because it's like, it's the equivalent of this whole meeting could have been an email.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see how that goes.
You know what? PlayStation, the State of Plays have had more than not those showcases as well, where it's like, this didn't need to happen.
Yeah.
This State of Play was not one of those. This is a great State of Play.
Okay. Well, let me tell you that. Let's go about this way.
Let's go grades.
Zach, we'll start with you again since you gave the first grade on the Nintendo Direct last time. How did you think this PlayStation Direct went, or State of Play?
I'm stuck between a C and a C+.
Okay.
C+.
Okay.
I think I just don't want to give it a C+ because JP's under my skin.
You don't want to emphasize JP's point?
Yes.
I'm going to have to give it a C. Solid C.
I just can't fucking believe that. I gave this a B. I said this was
Not
a pretty
B-.
I contemplated B-.
What about a C+?
No. I think this was much better. I think this was a solid showcase. I don't think it overstayed its welcome. I think it gave plenty of things to be extremely excited about. More than not. Let me start by asking this simple question. What makes a showcase good? Now, everybody's going to have different opinions on that, right? But here's what I think. Number one, variety. A good showcase has to have a little something for everybody, right? That's one. Number two, quality, right? You need to be able to tell just from whatever it is that you want to show that this game is going to provide a lot of fun and entertainment for the target audience. And number three, new IPs versus old IPs. Is this showcase introducing plenty of new while also giving a lot of the old, right? And based on those three criteria that I personally use, I don't think you can give PlayStation anything less than a B. There was variety, right? You got that PSVR news. You got indies. You got those AAA developer games. You got these samurai games. You got fucking car driving simulator horror extravaganza. You got Harry fucking Potter.
Yeah, but to me, it felt like all of the games they showed followed a similar pattern. Like,
okay.
They all kind of bled into each other, with Pacific Drive being the outlier there, because that was the most unique game we saw from the State of Play. But other than that, it just felt like I was kind of watching the same game trailer over and over. Like,
I just don't understand how you
Rise
could feel
of
that
Ronin,
way.
Like a Dragon, kind of bled into each other. And like, I even had to clarify with you before we started recording, which was the Red Dead Redemption style game.
Yes.
Like, I had thought that was Rise of Ronin. And so when I think about Nintendo, each of those games, minus the farm simulators, but they did
and the
spread
RPGs.
those a little bit. But even the RPGs seemed distinguishable from each other.
If you ask me about like what the biggest disappointment,
And you got to think that Nintendo's was 40 minutes and had triple the games that Sony showed.
I don't think that's always a good thing if you're just going to show the same kind of game over and
I
over again.
agree, actually. I think the Nintendo showcase did go on a little longer than it needed to, whereas I'll give a point to PlayStation here. They got in and got out with their business.
Yeah, that's... If you're just going on the variety thing alone, like, that's the big... Let's get this out of the way. That's the biggest thing that people have had a gripe with the Nintendo Direct, right? That the main things they featured were RPGs and then farm simulators, which you can't deny 4 or 5 farming simulators in one Direct is a lot.
That is excessive, yes.
And then, like, 6 or so RPGs plus DLC plus ports or whatever in a Direct is also a lot. In fact, if you look at the main things that people have to say that was great about the latest Nintendo Direct, Zelda, obviously, which it's like, I love Zelda, so I can't... You say Zelda, I'll back into a corner. I'm like, right.
Well, okay, let's get this comparison out of the way right here. End of each showcase, PlayStation showed God of War. That's what PlayStation is known for. Nintendo showed Legend of Zelda. That's what that console's known for. The showcases were identical in that regard.
Sure.
They both highlighted their console's game at the very end, so they each checked the box.
The challenge is that we're at different levels of like how much we know about each game, right? Because like for Zelda, this was their chance to unveil the title and the date. That's fucking huge.
Yes.
For God of War, we got this amazing 4-minute cinematic trailer, but it complemented the fact that we already know we're getting this game in 2 months. We already have the name of the game. And so we're just at different levels of like where each game is and where they're about to release, but you're right.
Yeah. And then I look at it this way. Okay, what other notable console exclusives were announced for these showcases? We got Bayonetta for Nintendo. That is one of this year's most hyped games for that console specifically.
Sure.
Well, yeah, next month, but like
Tekken 8 is coming out. That's it.
It's coming. It's in development.
Okay, here's the thing. I cannot con the PlayStation State of Play for not having as many release dates, for the simple fact that people think one of the biggest saving graces for Nintendo Direct was Pikmin, and they gave us fucking nothing other than this game.
I can't use Pikmin as defense. You are absolutely right there. There was not enough given on Pikmin. That was just in namesake alone.
Right.
But we also got Kirby news. Yes, Kirby was a port, but did we get Ratchet and Clank news? Did we get Medieval news? Did we get Jak and Daxter news?
There's games that I docked in the PlayStation State of Play for being a port.
Where are PlayStation's highlight IPs?
I don't think you are at all. I think you're just kind of like, I have this opinion, I'm going to go for it. I like how you said...
consistent with the criteria that I'm using.
We saw
that you made up.
Of course, but everybody
and
can
it's
make
all
up
an
their
opinion.
criteria.
No, yeah, it's all opinionated. So I'm just saying, like, it doesn't make sense to me, but to you it makes sense. That's fine. What you said, I was like, okay, like I get where you're coming from, but I also think that you're like, I think it's just because Nintendo's was longer. Like you're mad or not mad. You're docking it because it has more to it, but it was more that you didn't like.
Okay, that's a straw man. I'm not docking it because it has more. I'm docking it because it overstayed its welcome. It was showing the same things over and over again that did not need to be a part of the showcase. That's in my opinion, like, again, like, for me, it's like, the variety is part of it. That, I'm being consistent. Like, I know I'm getting under your skin, and I'm sorry about that.
No, I just don't want to have to look it up and, like, just go into it, but I just think you're misremembering it, but...
I mean,
I've got it pulled up right here. We just went over it.
When I think of these showcases, Did this showcase feel like the embodiment of PlayStation? No. It almost felt like I could have seen these trailers for Xbox as well. Minus, the God of War and like those specific exclusives. With Nintendo, we saw all of their hard hitters. Like, we saw some from Sparks of Hope, and I know that, like...
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
we did
so
too.
we saw Mario, we saw Link, we saw Kirby, we saw Bayonetta, we saw the Squidlings, we saw... there was some other, like, very Nintendo-esque characters that we saw, and, like, we didn't see any notable PlayStation specific aside from Kratos.
And I guess that's where you get into, like, he was giving it more points because of its originality, which, I mean, of course it's going to favor PlayStation because they don't have distinguishable IP characters besides Kratos and
Jack Daxter, etc. Ratchet Clank.
Crash, but even that's not true anymore. Now
that is a Microsoft exclusive.
Kratos and Alloy. And
okay, here's the thing. As a gamer, I would say, in general, I am much more willing to give a try to newer IPs than most other people are. That's why I like indie titles. You don't like indie titles unless you are very much willing to give things a try.
Yes, that's very true.
And because of that, that's why one of my criteria for judging how good a showcase is new IPs versus old IPs. It's like, what are you introducing that's new? Because I genuinely want to see. God of War started off as a new title at one point. Jak and Daxter started off as a new title at one point. All of these games did. And that I'm willing to give these games a try if they look like they're awesome. I feel like I'm more willing than the average gamer to give these things a try if they're awesome. That's why one of my criteria is, okay, what are you introducing that's new versus what do I have to look forward to that's old, right?
I don't feel like PlayStation did introduce that much new, though.
And a lot of it's like, I'm trying to look at when they gave us release dates, because like nothing's coming out.
And I can
besides God of War Ragnarok, which is something that I care more about than you care about.
Stellar Blade, brand new.
When's it coming out?
Pacific Drive, brand new. Sin Duality, brand new. Rise of Ronin, brand new. Like a Dragon, I'll give it to you. It was technically part of Yakuza, so I can't call that a brand new IP, but still looked like it was fucking amazing.
And that was coming out in
that
February
means that
2023,
that means that of the 12 things,
date.
that means of the 12 things that we had in this PlayStation showcase, almost half of it was new.
Yes. Yeah, you are right.
Pacific Drive comes out next year sometime.
No.
I can't keep relying on the argument of, like, it didn't feel new, because that's a very arbitrary statement. But
this is all arbitrary.
I mean, it all is arbitrary.
It felt like there was too much similarity in the trailers that I saw with PlayStation. Like,
okay,
I knew exactly when I was cutting to a new game, and if I had vested interest in it with Nintendo's showcase.
Yeah.
End of the day, though, I still think these showcases were pretty identical in hype levels, in my interest.
You're just mad there was no Doritos or Mountain Dew commercials.
Where's Master Chief?
Where's Master Chief? He's in Fortnite, brother.
Where's Marcus from Gears of War?
Oh, that's someone Fortnite hasn't gotten yet. Gears of War isn't popular enough anymore. Gears of War isn't popular enough anymore, and that's a tragedy, because Gears of War was amazing.
It was one of their great IPs. But I digress.
Yeah, I mean, look, for what it's worth, I'm not saying that, like, the state of play was eons better than the Nintendo Direct. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I can see a clear, higher amount of quality in this state of play compared to the Nintendo Direct. And the reason why I don't understand why I'm getting so much hate for that is because I am very candid about when I think PlayStation drops the fucking ball in their state of plays. No one is more critical of that than me. But now I'm being like, I think this showcase was definitely much better than this showcase.
And see, I just disagree with that, because this showcase also felt very mid to me. Like,
I like mid's just the new buzzword.
Like,
mid.
It really is, though, because that is exactly how I felt about Nintendo's showcase, and that is exactly how I felt about PlayStation's. It was there. It happened.
I know I should never use Video Game Donkey as a real reviewer on games, but the video he made over the State of Play versus the Nintendo Direct really sums it up for me. It's like, for Nintendo, Bayonetta, great. Zelda, release date, amazing, right? But just the consistency of quality in the State of Play was just, in my opinion, obviously better.
Which is funny because the games didn't follow a consistent pattern. Like, we didn't have gameplay for this, and we didn't have release dates for this. It was just, this game has a release date, this game has a cinematic trailer, oh, this game has some gameplay to it, but this game has a title and release date.
For me, the only thing that was worth in it was like I guess the announcement of Tekken 8, which I feel like Tekken 8 was already talked about. Was it? Or am I mixing it with Street? I'm mixing it with Street Fighter.
Street Fighter.
So that was an announcement, which is fine. But like, I feel like we could have watched this at any time.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this could have came out like mid next year, and I wonder if we would.
Okay, so your problem is lack of release dates, because I know that's important to you.
Right. I mean, like, Nintendo's going to have another direct in March.
Right. Like, what do we have to look forward to now is what your question is.
I'm not, like, sitting here just trying to, like, know that, oh, hey, like, Final Fantasy 18 is already in development, because we know once 16 comes out, there's going to be an 18 in 15 years or whatever the fuck.
Now, the thing with me and that criteria, I think that's a fine criteria to have, but you have to be careful with it. Otherwise, I would have to dock, like, Tears of the Kingdom points because it's been pushed back several times.
Right.
And that's why you have to be careful with that particular criteria. Like, I agree with you that if there's one thing I can really, truly dock this State of Play for, it's no release dates for fucking anything, right? No release dates at all, except, of course, for God of War. But I don't know. Like, in my opinion, as long as I have these things to look forward to, like, that's not as important to me.
How many games do they have? 12? And then how many were the new? You said, like, 4?
Like 5.
We have Rise of Ronin, Sensuality, Project or Stellar Blade, Pacific Drive, and the Dragon one. So was that 5?
That's 5.
Cool.
So almost half.
Okay,
almost
Various
half
Day Life was new. There's one. Hold on. Factorio, there's your indie one.
Okay.
Oddballers.
What the fuck is Oddballers?
Here's your weird Yakuza game. Fitness Boxing, Fists of the North Star.
Oh my god, I forgot they did a fitness boxing.
Why did they put that in?
Endless
That's why
Dungeon.
it's mid.
What?
Endless Dungeon. There's a creepy game.
But that's why I didn't say though that with the Nintendo Direct, the thing that I was marking it the most points for was lack of variety. Not like the IPs. Nintendo does a great job of introducing new games. Nintendo, if I can give them one compliment, it's that they'll always try something fucking new to see what sticks to the wall. ARMS didn't turn out as great as they fucking wanted it to, but they still tried their fucking damnedest. You want to know how hard they tried? An ARMS character's in Smash Bros.
Fair.
They gave up a slot in Smash Bros., one of the last ones, to an ARMS character because they were like, you know what, we love this idea so much. Fuck you all for not supporting it. She's going in Smash.
Neat addition. I like the ARMS character.
Again, it's lack of variety. Are you appealing to many different kinds of gamers, and are you appealing to them? Like, PlayStation introduced games for the PlayStation VR on top of their own console, right? Like, I'm just saying, like, that to me is what matters. It's like, and then the different kinds of games. Like, no matter what kind of gamer you were, like, is there something in there for you? And to me, the biggest fault in the latest Nintendo Direct was the lack of variety. And that's literally the most memed about thing from the Nintendo Direct. Like, fuck, I was watching Beat 'em Up stream. He literally lost his fucking mind when the 4th Farming Sim came out. he was going through the 5 stages of grief, brother. Like, number 3 was anger, but at number 4, he came full circle to where he was like, this is actually becoming really funny. Not saying it was bad. I'm not saying the State of Play was eons above this Nintendo Switch Direct. I'm just saying I think you can notice the quality difference, and that I would personally give that to the State of Play.
I can't.
You're not excited for Hogwarts Legacy.
We already knew about that. They've been talking about that for 4 years now.
But you didn't know about the exclusive events coming to PlayStation surrounded by, like, about horror.
Well, I guess
that's fair, but it does kind of take my interest a little bit away when we do know about this. We have had documentation about a game, and then they highlight it in their showcase.
I guess, yeah,
you didn't watch fucking Rise of Ronin, or
I thought that was cool. Yeah,
okay.
I put that higher than you.
Sensuality? We were just talking about how we need more better looking mech games.
But it's not they didn't do a good job of showcasing it looking like a mech game. It looked more like you're just going and collecting resources. Now maybe it'll turn more into a more like RPG, but they didn't give us enough information or a release date to go off of.
Pacific Drive. I know I said that that's just a game for the indie game lovers, but that was new,
There
exciting.
were indie games in the Nintendo Direct. All I'm saying is whatever you give the Sony Direct, you should give the Nintendo Direct.
I'm
That's
being
what I'm
very
saying.
consistent in what I'm saying about both showcases. I'm using the same 3 criteria.
I'm gonna have to agree with Zach here. Both were very mid. I'd give both of them a solid C.
Ah, boys.
I literally, just can't. I'm trying to think of what I'm not saying. I'm not getting my point across, because there must be something I'm just not doing a good job of communicating here.
Well, you can communicate all you want, but it's just a difference of opinion.
I hear you, Zach.
That's fair.
I mean, I see every point.
Here's the thing. You're getting frustrated with me because I'm not agreeing with you. But I'm also getting frustrated with you because you see what I'm saying, but it's ultimately just an opinion.
I'm not
thing.
frustrated at you. I'm frustrated at my, I want to be able to explain my reasoning when I'm not doing a good job of it. So, sorry if that's coming out that way. I think you're great.
No.
And like you said, these are just opinions.
Yeah, and it's just that, it's also about what you're more excited about anyway. You're obviously more prone to Nintendo games. That's just the fucking way it is. That's why you're the Nintendo game guy.
Hey.
That's just... Of course I'm not going to convince you that the State of Play was better.
Well, no, I don't know if I would say it was... I definitely wouldn't say the State of Play was worse than Nintendo's. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I wouldn't really classify one as better than the other.
I can't...
I guess
I'm on Zach's side of, except the opposite, where I'm I don't understand how you guys don't think this was clearly better.
Well, I guess on that note, listeners, we need some help here settling this debate. How did you think the Nintendo Direct was versus the PlayStation State of Play?
Because if there's one group of people that always know, no matter what, they're right, it's people on Twitter. The smartest people that have ever existed are on Twitter. Am I right?
At least our followers.
Good save, thanks.
They will have an opinion, and we need to know it because we are kind of gridlocked here. Zach and I think that both showcases were mid. JP thinks that the State of Play was just a little bit better than Nintendo's. What do you think?
Not eons better. That's
Not
for sure.
eons. Not eons. Let's get that clear right now.
Just a little bit.
I don't know what the fuck's with eons, but he said that twice. I was like, okay, I get that part. I understand that.
Yes.
So, listeners, let us know what you thought of the showcases. What were you excited about? Were you excited? Were they just mid?
Mid.
Mid
case.
Let's go play a MOBA. Let's go in mid.
Mid direct. Mid of play. All right, I'm done. Thank you all so much for listening to another episode of the Game Tea Podcast. We'll see you in the next episode.
You just got your Game Tea.
Bye.
Vote for me or I'll die.
A Huda Media Production.